Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm getting just a little bit toxic in the Open Master League. Today, I'm pairing up two pretty spammy debuffing Pokemon, Tapu Bulu and Hisuian Avalugg. Tapu Bulu's Nature's Madness gives a guaranteed defense drop, whereas Icy Wind on Hisuian Avalugg gives a guaranteed attack drop. Combining the two, and even in bad matchups, I can potentially still have play, just due to the fact that my opponent will be heavily debuffed. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's check out the team in action. Hopping into the first match here, leading Tapu Bulu into Solgaleo, the core breaker right off the bat. This is a massive problem. I save switch into Palkia. My opponent is going to respond with their own Palkia. I'm going to farm up to the Spatial Rend and bait with the Aqua Tail. The opponent, are they going to shield? They do shield, and that is very good news for me. And on top of that, they end up throwing their energy. This is honestly terrific. Switch advantage does absolutely nothing for me here because I have two bad matchups remaining versus the Solgaleo. So my only chance to win this game is to get the shield advantage and now a massive energy lead so I can just debuff my way through this Solgaleo. Opponent is going to be sending back in that Solgaleo, and when they do, I'm going for the Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness comes with a guaranteed defense drop, and then I'm going to switch into Hisuian Avalugg. But if they're running Iron Head, Iron Head hits for double super effective damage and will absolutely tear Avalugg to shreds. I commit the shield, and I get baited with a Psychic Fangs, so my opponent is debuffing as well. I go for the Icy Wind, opponent is going to commit the shield. I'm going for yet another Icy Wind, and now their defense is 1 stage debuffed, and their attack is 2 stages debuffed. They're firing off some energy. I have a tough call to make. I have debuffed them. I let it through. It's a Psychic Fangs bait, and in the back, it's Zygarde. Now, I may be double weak to that Solgaleo, but I am double strong to Zygarde. Icy Wind connects, dealing massive damage. I send in the Tapu Bulu. My opponent fires off energy before I'm able to make the Nature's Madness. It's going to be the Crunch. That will not do a ton of damage. I'm going to farm up and go for the Nature's Madness on charge attack priority to Crunch number 2. Nature's Madness is going to pick up the KO onto Zygarde. Back in comes the Solgaleo. They're firing off energy and they win charge attack priority. The Psychic Fangs just does not KO, and I'm going for the harder hitting Grass Knot. Grass Knot is going to connect, getting them low. Now I can send back in the Avalugg. Avalugg gets the farm down, and despite being completely core broken, we're able to take the win. Great lead in the next match, Tapu Bulu into Zygarde. Opponent save switches into a Dialga Origin, and now this game it's my turn to core break my opponent. Now, Dialga previously, before the Tapu Bulu had Nature's Madness, was a completely nightmare matchup. But now, Tapu Bulu can always win the 2s, whether it's the OG Dialga or whether it's going to be versus the Origin form. I'm going to stay in this matchup. I'm more than happy to play this out. The Nature's Madness can land. They elect not to use the shield, but that just gives me a massive farm down with Tapu Bulu. And in the back is Landorus. They are triple weak to Tapu Bulu. The Nature's Madness connects. I'm going to send in the Palkia to bait back out the Zygarde. And this way, I'm going to have the alignment that I want. I'm going to have Zygarde on the Tapu Bulu, and I'm going to have my Hisuian Avalugg on the Landorus. So at this point, this game, I mean, basically from lock-in, it was over because my opponent is triple weak to Tapu Bulu. They go for the Crunch, they get the defense drop, but I'm able to make the last second Spatial Rend. They know that energy on this Zygarde is useless, so they are going to let it through. They can send back in the Landorus. Landorus gets the farm down. I would love to not reveal my third, if at all possible. I send in the Tapu Bulu. My opponent is going to bait with the Sandsear Storm. They're going for another Sandsear. I will commit the shield, because if I don't have to show the Avalugg, then I definitely won't. There's realistically nothing in the back that my opponent could even beat at the moment. Even if it's Ho-Oh, they wouldn't be able to make it to a Stone Edge. They will commit the shield, and they throw energy, so unfortunately, I will have to reveal my final Pokemon, but it's only going to be on the field to throw one singular Powder Snow to take the win. Moving to the next match, we see a bit of an interesting lead as I lead Tapu Bulu into Primarina. This is a good matchup for Tapu Bulu in the 0s and the 1s. If the Primarina really wants to, they can double shield and charm me all the way down, as Tapu Bulu, while its typing allows it to be a very good core breaker, it is not known for its bulk. So it looks like they are more than willing to double shield here, so I'm just going to unfortunately not be able to win switch, but I will get shield advantage. And these bullet seeds have never looked so dangerous, as when the defense's 2-stage debuff, they save switch into a Giratina Altered, which will fire off the Dragon Claw to get a little bit of damage before I can apply the guaranteed drop from Icy Wind. Now, Giratina, this is an interesting switch. I haven't seen a Giratina Altered in the Master League for quite some time. I'm able to land the Icy Wind, which is very nice, and I am realistically never shielding in this matchup. I would love to be able to get some energy on Palkia at some point. I'm going to bank a move. They're actually running Ancient Power on the Giratina and send in the Palkia. The nice thing is I already got the Primarina pretty low, so hopefully I can knock it out with an Aqua Tail. I do get the farm down. In comes Primarina. I'm going for the Aqua Tail. Looking at its health, it's actually not quite an Aqua Tail range, but it's going to be close. Come on, Palkia. Palkia just cannot get the farm down. Opponent barely able to hang on with the Primarina and fire off Disarming Voice, but in the back, it's Kyogre. And I only have a small amount of health left on the Palkia, but it's more than enough to take the win. Spatial Rend connects, aggressive switch into the Avalugg, and the stored move from later comes in clutch, knocking out Kyogre just before they make the surf. In comes Primarina, we Powder Snow down, and take the win. Tapu Bulu picking up some nice leads as it leads into its best meta matchup, into the Palkia. The opponent safe switches into the Dialga. Say it ain't so, Mr. Opponent, as they are just completely core broken by the Tapu Bulu. There are some teams that run very, very strong to Tapu Bulu. Like they'll have, let's say, a Mewtwo plus a Ho-Oh, and it's just really, really uncomfortable for Tapu Bulu to gain any ground. And then there's other teams, like anytime you're going to see like a Dragon plus Landorus plus sometimes even a second Dragon, they're just so incredibly weak to Bulu. They're double debuffed here, so I can just farm them down, exit with energy on the Palkia, which is very nice. So my opponent can't really send in their own Palkia because they'll just get hit with the Spatial Rend. In the back, oh my goodness, they have Solgaleo. If they had just brought in the Palkia, absorbed the Spatial Rend, and then sent in the Solgaleo, they could have had a chance to win. But since they're using the Solgaleo to absorb energy, this is just a very straightforward win for me. And they even look to massively overfarm. I'm able to make the Aqua Tail. The Aqua Tail connects as they play to a CMP tie that they do not win. And from here, this is just a very straightforward win. I can send in the Avalugg. They can fire off the Iron Head. I will respect it with a shield. And I should be able to make the Icy Wind. They try for the catch, but I'm just not going to let that happen. I can go for a Nature's Madness, and I should just be able to farm down and be in a pretty good spot. They go for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to do an okay amount of damage, but realistically, I'm still in a very good spot here. I should go for the Nature's Madness and just farm down. If they make another move, that's very okay, but then I potentially play to a lose con. The moment I click the move, I realize this is how they're going to try and win. They're going to try and farm down and win charge attack priority with an Iron Head, but thankfully, they were not able to get there. I still get the win, but throwing that move was just asking for a lose con, but thankfully, we're still able to take the win. We see a very tough lead in the next match. Tapu Bulu into Mewtwo. Mewtwo is a massive problem for this core. Mewtwo does very, very well against the Tapu Bulu since it's able to outpace, and again, same thing with the Hisuian Avalugg. The Hisuian Avalugg just gets outpaced, so your debuffing moves don't really have the same effect, whereas Mewtwo is constantly able to outpace and just output massive neutral damage with Psy Strikes. I'm just going to let that through, send in the Palkia. Palkia looks for the farm down, but the opponent, on 1 HP, the Dragon Breath does not register, and they're able to make that move. So unfortunately, I'm very low on the Palkia. They send in Dialga Origin, I fire off the Spatial Rend, they no shield, and I send in Avalugg. I'm feeling pretty good about this game. I am going to be committing the shield and then looking to overfarm quite a bit here. I don't know what they have in the back. I'm hoping that it is potentially going to be something that Hisuian Avalugg has play against. Maybe a Ho-Oh. The Icy Wind gets no shielded in the back. It's Landorus. I think I will have to get a catch to win this game. I'm going to fire off the Icy Wind, grab the shield. My timer will be up, so now it's going to come down to a prediction. I have to predict whether they'll throw right away, whether they'll wait a turn, or do I just, oh my goodness, a lot of factors to consider here. I decide they're going to overfarm here, so I'm going to farm past it, but they throw as soon as they get the move. My prediction was not accurate. I'm able to survive on 1 HP, but I did not leave with the move, so it's not going to matter. Man, I shouldn't have gone with my gut there. I should have just switched right when they had it, because getting the catch wins the game on the spot, but unfortunately, I do not get the catch. so I don't get the win. Tricky lead in the next match, Tapu Bulu versus Zacian, but suddenly, seeing they're running Snarl, this is not a tricky lead whatsoever. In my mind, there's no reason to run Snarl on Zacian in the current meta. Quick Attack, Play Rough, plus Wild Charge is just the best moveset to go for. This opponent has Snarl, Close Combat, and Wild Charge, which is literally the best moveset my Tapu Bulu could see, because they can't really touch me in terms of damage. Like, I can absorb 2 charge attacks, farm up nearly to 100 energy, and this Nature's Madness will, of course, pick up the knockout. My opponent is now going to send in Dialga. I can make 1 Nature's Madness, but I think they're going to farm me down before I make a second, and I don't really want to give the farm, so I pivot into the Avalugg, and they send in Palkia, and this is not the alignment that I was hoping for. To be fair, I do think that the decision to pivot out is the right one, because giving Dialga so much energy, when I technically am a bit weak to Dialga in the back, I don't think is going to produce very favorable results either. I'm going to go for the Rock Slide now. Rock Slide does do more damage than Icy Wind, so I'm hoping they let it through, but they do end up committing the shield. It's a bit unfortunate. I make the Icy Wind. I think I should have gone for the Rock Slide here, as if they no shield, an Icy Wind would not KO, but they end up shielding and they overfarm, allowing me to get a catch onto the Tapu Bulu. And now with getting that catch, this is suddenly looking a lot better for me. I can send in the Avalugg, again forcing their energy, and I'm just going to try and win the game with the Palkia. It's going to be a race here, as in comes the Dialga. Dialga firing off energy. I need to expend the final shield, and the question is, am I going to be able to get a farm down, or will I need to throw some energy? I decide to go for the safe route. I'm throwing some energy. I know the Palkia shouldn't have a lot of energy, so an Aqua Tail plus farm should allow me to outpace. In comes their Palkia. I'm very low on health, but I do make the double resisted Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is enough to knock them out and take a very close victory. Moving into the next match, we see a disastrous lead. Tapu Bulu into Ho-Oh. I save switch. Oh, this is actually very good. I safe switch into Hisui and Avalugg, and something I've noticed is a lot of Ho-Oh leads don't really have a good response to Hisui and Avalugg. So Hisui and Avalugg ends up being actually a kind of decent safe switch into these teams, despite the fact that its typing defensively is atrocious. It has an insane amount of weaknesses, but Ho-Oh is basically always paired with a bunch of dragons in the back, and maybe like a Zacian or a Xerneas, but typically up energy, they don't have an amazing response to Avalugg. Here the opponent ends up letting it through, and they have a Mewtwo in the back, and this is a big problem. This team is very soft to Mewtwo. I decide to commit the shield here, which arguably maybe I shouldn't have done, but I wanted to get debuffs on the Mewtwo, because ideally, if I get them debuffed enough, they'll be forced to switch back into the Ho-Oh, and that would be very good for me, because then I can counter with Palkia, and Palkia does extremely well there. Mewtwo will pick up the KO with the Side Strike. I can send in the Tapu Bulu. I just have to watch for a potential catch attempt. My guess is they're going to do one Psycho Cut and then switch, trying to catch a Nature's Madness. So I wait for it. There it is. I switch very quickly into the Palkia, as I did not want to give them much of an energy head start. I will fire off the Aqua Tail just before they're able to make the move. The Aqua Tail does get shielded, and here, odds are they're probably going for the Sacred Fire, fishing for a debuff. They do go for the Sacred Fire, and now the question is, can I make the Aqua Tail? I do make the Aqua Tail, but they did get the debuff, and that debuff is absolutely brutal. The Aqua Tail not going to be enough. If I did not get the debuff, then this is just a win, but unfortunately, the Mewtwo is not in a range where a Grass Knot will KO. A Grass Knot does just under 50%, so I have to hope that one Bullet Seed plus the Grass Knot will KO, but unfortunately, I do get Psycho Cut down. We're looking to bounce back, and what a lead to do so, leading the Tapu Bulu into the Zygarde. There's so many people running ABA Dragon, and Tapu Bulu is here to absolutely feast. Tapu Bulu going to be in a very nice spot here, as long as I double shield, I can never lose switch here. I'm going to be going for the Nature's Madness, and here you're going to notice I'm going to hit every bubble but 3. If they no shield and you're going up against the Sinnoh Dialga, you actually get a very nice Bullet Seed farm down. They send in Solgaleo, which is a huge problem for this team, but I have switch advantage. So this is just a one game for me. I can stay in, debuff them, they throw energy, which is great, and then I have Palkia on the Solgaleo, and in the back, when they bring out the Zygarde, I'm going to have double super effective damage waiting for this Zygarde, as I can send in my Hisuian Avalugg. Hisuian Avalugg, of course, firing off the Icy Wind right away, applying these debuffs. That's what the team is all about, non-stop debuffs. Opponent doesn't even bother building up to an Earthquake. They just go for the crunch. They do not get the debuff. And you know what? One stage of attack drop is not enough for a Zygarde. Let's make it 2. They're now 2 stages debuffed. I'm very okay at this point with just letting this go. I'm very okay with that. They're actually running Outrage on the Zygarde. I get the farm down, and now, guess who's getting debuffed? It's the Solgaleo. Solgaleo now going to have its attack dropped. I can send in the Palkia, and even if they have Solar Beam, it's not going to matter. This is a completely lost game for my opponent. They go for the Psychic Fangs. That's just really not going to cut it. I can go for the Aqua Tail. Yeah, it's just too little too late here. They ran very, very weak to the Tapu Bulu on the lead, and that ended up costing them, as Tapu Bulu is very good at winning switch advantage versus a lot of things. They go for the bad manners Iron Head, and they resign the match. All in all, I had a lot of fun with the toxic double debuff team in the Master League, and I was actually able to go positive while running the team as well. It was very enjoyable that on 2/3 of my team, every 12 turns, I could just apply a guaranteed debuff from the Hisuian Avalugg, obviously the attack drop, or from the Bulu, the defense drop, and my opponent had no way of resetting that, basically, without switching out their Pokemon. So overall, it ended up being quite a lot of fun. In the future, I may consider trying a triple debuff team, adding Landorus in. Landorus, of course, even faster at debuffing than those two. So that team would probably be even more annoying to play against. But overall, from me playing the battles, I had a ton of fun with it. If I went up against this team, I don't think it would be an enjoyable experience whatsoever, because there's just debuff after debuff after debuff, and then right at the end, there's just Palkia, and we know how insanely powerful Palkia Origin is in the Master League. But overall, I did have quite a lot of fun with it. I definitely enjoyed debuffing Pokemon. Like, my run to 3500 ELO last season was with Glaciate Kyurem. So overall, I really enjoyed debuffing Pokemon, and the fact that we now have more debuffing Pokemon available in the Master League, to me, is something that I am a very big fan of. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.